Gotta get your chair before we start recording.
Yep.
Can I start?
Yep.
Okay. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Alright, so obviously in the last video you saw the first start of the SR240. So today there's a couple minor things I need to address. I had another video planned for you guys. Damien actually came over here in between the first start and this video, and we were gonna go get it running and tuned, but it didn't go anywhere. We actually found a problem and it kind of got worse. So we are just gonna start addressing a couple things. So my bumper doesn't exactly fit right now with the bash bar, so I might cut that out a little bit. I have a minor coolant leak. I don't know where it's coming from. The only problem is with that is I think the car has to be running and the system has to be pressurized for the coolant leak to be known, basically, if that makes sense. It basically needs to build that pressure before it starts leaking. I have an idea of where it's coming from. I think it's coming back from the heater core hoses. I was having a problem with them before I tightened them up. In the startup video you saw that big coolant leak. That's where it came from. So I'm going to go ahead and jack the car up. I'm going to look at a couple leaks. I might turn it over. It won't actually start right now, so I'm just probably unplug the injectors so I don't overload it with fuel. And then crank it over, see if it builds up enough pressure to make it leak. And then, yeah, I'm going to take the bumper off too. And then we'll cut it and hopefully it'll fit over the bash bar. Lots of stuff to do today. Okay, so car's jacked up. First order of business is going to be taking off the bumper, and then I'm going to crawl under. As you can see, the bumper no fit though. I don't know why. So I'm just going to probably cut this out a little bit. Basically make it a bit more clearance this way. Not much, but a bit. Pop up headlights again. I was winking. Okay, we just accomplished two things. We got the bumper off, and I got my headlights going up and down again. I forgot to plug them in before we put the bumper on last time because I was too excited. So yeah, now I am probably gonna crawl under the car just since the bumper's off. Okay, so something that not everyone might realize, I mean, obviously it wasn't my fault or anything, is when you're building a car, especially like this, it's really, really easy to overlook really small things. And I think I just found my coolant leak. And it's kind of embarrassing, but like I said, it's not my fault. Not me. I built a car. It's not my fault. Don't blame me. Okay, so in all seriousness, this was completely my fault. So if you notice right here on my radiator drain plug, basically, there's some wet coolant. So I'm just gonna wipe my finger. You can see it's wet. So turns out, I'm like 90% sure this is my coolant leak. Obviously it's not an actual leak because it's just the fact that I forgot to tighten it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that, and then we're gonna pressurize the system and see if that fixes the coolant leaking problem. It's kind of hard to tell on camera probably, but like down here is really wet, so probably when I was driving there was a lot of coolant just shooting out and leaking on that. So like when it pressurized, it was probably just spraying out of this because it's not fully undone, because you don't fully undo them. So it was probably just spraying on that. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that right now, and then we'll pressurize the system, see if there's any other leaks. Okay, so now that that is tight, I'm going to go ahead and get Brittany to turn over the car and see if I can notice any coolant leaks. Obviously I'm going to check this, make sure that it's not leaking. I don't know if I'm showing you it. Oh no, up there. And just check for any other leaks as well at the same time. Okay, Britt, go. Okay, so that is another issue sorted with the SR. I'm really glad that it was something super simple. Obviously means I won't have to do a radiator core now. So that is a big weight lifted off my chest. That was super simple. So now 240's going under the knife. So So what I'm going to do is cut the bumper down a little bit, and I'm also going to cut this guy down. So the other day when Damien came over, we actually got it to the point where we took it out of my parking lot, and I was filming it and it was like okay, but then obviously we only made it out of the parking lot, so we scraped on the way out. So that made me realize that I'm probably going to need to cut this down maybe at 1 inch. Yeah, that should be good. Cut it down about 1 inch, sand it down, and then throw some clear coat or something on it until I get it powder coated. I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. You can't really tell, but I did scrape it. It's kind of hard to see. I can't even really see it in person. It's like right here. It just scraped the tiniest bit. So rather than scraping every time I leave, I want to cut it down so it's not going to risk breaking any of the welds. So yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. Hopefully there's nothing on the ground that could catch on fire, but hey, it's a little excitement in our lives, so why not? Okay, so I couldn't find my cutting wheels. For some reason they are missing. But I do have the flop disc, so what I'm going to do is see if I can grind it down. I'm not very familiar with grinders and stuff like that, so this probably makes me the wrong person for the job, but hey, what's the worst that could happen? Cuts to me losing a finger. So I guess that's probably gonna have to wait till I can find my cutting disc. So that's probably gonna have to wait till I can find my cutting discs. Hopefully I can find them relatively soon. But I sanded it down a little bit so it's not as sharp, because it was actually really sharp, like to the touch. So that's good. So what I'm gonna do now probably is bleed my clutch. We didn't bleed it properly when we did it a while ago. So probably just gonna do it now again, because it just no bueno. Okay, so got the clutch bled. It's still pretty low, so I really don't know. There's no really other adjustment I can make. Obviously I can't exactly tell how low it is until we start the car and get it running and feeling. If it's low, then I'll just have to get used to it. It's not the end of the world. It is a 6-puck, so it's very snappy, so maybe that's why, because it doesn't really have like it has a really hard bite. It doesn't have like much leeway, if that makes sense. But another thing, I found my grinding wheels. So I am gonna go ahead and shorten the bash bar now, and then I am going to cut the bumper. I think I'm like right there. Somewhere in that area. The thing shot off. Oh! Ow, that smoked me in the hand. But it's off. Okay, so I cut down the bash bar as much as I wanted. I don't know if you heard the thump in the video, but it smacked me in the hand, then shot off this way some way. This is why you don't let me use a grinder, but you know what? We're gonna keep going. So I'm just gonna grind down the edges. There's like one sharp edge with the flop disc. Okay, so got it cut down, got it sanded down, and got it clear coated. So I'm obviously gonna get the bash bar powder coated before it's like on for good, but for now this is good how it is. It won't rust, hopefully. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna cut the bumper, but I think I'm gonna do that tomorrow because we're gonna head to a car meet right now. So it'll be the next day for me, but 1 second for you. So I'll see you in a second. And we're back the next day. Okay, so like I was saying yesterday, I'm going to cut my bumper, but I was looking at it today and I realized that my cut is really angled on my bash bar. And when I say really angled, I mean really angled. So I'm probably gonna cut right here and try and cut it a bit more evenly. It was just a silly mistake on my part. And then basically the bumper wasn't fitting properly because this lip here was hitting the bumper or the bash bar, as you can kind of tell by how bent that is. So I'm just gonna basically cut this around like that. I'll show you the trick for cutting with paint so that you don't mess it all up. But yeah, that is the plan for today, so let's get right to it. Probably start with the bash bar. Okay, so obviously my bumper paint isn't the best in the world. It's got cracks like right here and stuff and up here, but I figured I would show you guys this anyways because it's a good little trick if you're cutting into a painted surface. So I'm basically gonna cut, I don't know how you can see this, but I'm gonna cut here, go down here, along here, and then up back to this corner. So what you want to do, I'll start in this corner because it's probably a bit easier to see, but you basically want to tape it off just with like painter's tape, anything, just like that. And I just put it a bit extra, so then I'm just gonna do one piece across, but I'm gonna do the other side first. Obviously this isn't gonna be perfect, I'm not measuring it or anything, but you shouldn't be able to notice it once it's on the car, so I'm not super concerned with it. So then we're gonna grab this big piece. You're basically gonna be shooting the cut right in the middle of this. And if you have to make a line, obviously, to make it a bit easier to see where you're trying to cut, then by all means, but I'm just gonna kind of wing it. So to me that is probably even enough. Obviously you don't have to follow like where this line goes or anything, you can kind of like make it your own. So I'm gonna cut from the corner here, cut across here, up here like I said. What the painter's tape does is it stops the paint from basically chipping as you're cutting into it because it holds it down and then you just cut through it, right? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm probably just gonna leave it exactly like this. Cut, 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 and cut. Okay, so partway through I realized that this probably is not good to be breathing in, so I put on a mask. Okay, so it's very smoky and smelly in my garage, so I'll be back in like 2 seconds, so I'm back. But this is our cut. Really bad. Probably gonna take a sanding wheel to it. But basically, yeah, so you cut this out of here. And if I peel off the paint or tape, the paint should be fine unless it melted it. But yeah, I'm gonna take a quick sanding, like little sanding disc to it, see if it's okay to do that. But I don't know. I kind of cut over here, but again, I don't really care about this bumper skin. It's already kind of trashed, and I plan on getting a different one anyways. So not the end of the world that I kind of messed it up. But yeah, we'll figure it out. So here's the final product. It wasn't the best cut, obviously, in the world. Because like that's all messed up and that's all messed up and that's messed up, but it's underneath, so I'm not super worried about it. Good enough. Hopefully it clears the bash bar because I don't feel like doing that anymore. It wasn't fun, okay? It wasn't fun. It's still hard to breathe in the garage, so I'm probably just gonna throw the bumper foam back in and then put the bumper on. So I noticed some more coolant on the ground today, so I'm probably going to put some coolant in it right now. Make sure it's not dripping out anywhere slowly. So yeah, I'm gonna throw some coolant in and then probably end the video after that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens when I add coolant. We're leaking from somewhere, boys. Oh, we actually are leaking from somewhere. Look at that. Huh, I wonder what's leaking there. I just saw that. I was joking about this one, but then I saw that one. Okay, uh-oh. From a bad joke to a even worse joke. Oh no. Where are you leaking from, buddy? Okay, so right down there, way down there, my turbo feed line is leaking. So what I have to do is basically stick my arm back there and hope that it's just a loose clamp. It's the coolant feed line or return line, I'm not 100% sure which one. I'm going to try and get that right now. Probably won't film it, it's way too hard to be trying to film it. Maybe Brett will film it, but we'll see. Buy a 240, they said it'll be fun, it'll be exciting. What's not exciting? Freaking coolant leaks.
You tell them.
Alright you guys, so I fixed that coolant leak. It was just loose clamps again. Same thing. So I'm gonna end the video there. Got a decent amount of stuff done, just the small stuff before we finalize getting this thing ready to drive. Hopefully all the coolant leaks are solved. Obviously won't really know until the system pressurizes when the car's actually running and getting hot and letting all the coolant flow through. So fingers crossed it works and it's fine. as per usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really means a lot to me. So we'll see you in the next one. Maybe we'll be driving the 240. Peace.